Welcome back to the Battletalk show. I am your host, Noah Adamani, and I am absolutely over the moon to be back covering our beloved St. Louis Battlehawks for another season as part of United Football Media. And good Lord Almighty, folks, have we kicked off this season in high gear, starting the 2025 UFL season with a 2-0 record and outscoring opponents 57 to 15 through two contests. That is genuinely unheard of at any level of professional football, just allowing 15 points over the course of two football games. I have been absolutely blown away by not only the defensive effort of these St. Louis Battlehawks, but the offensive output out of the backfield with the two-headed monster at running back in Jacob Saylors and Jarvion Howard. This football team, of course, only 2 weeks in, but ultimately has exceeded expectations for not only myself as a Battlehawks fanatic, but I genuinely believe UFL fans across the league did not anticipate such a surge from the St. Louis Battlehawks, especially with A.J. McCarron leaving the franchise over the winter. Manny Wilkins has stepped in and absolutely dominated, of course, getting the job done on the ground, but remaining consistent through the air. No, he's not going to slice and dice defenses with his passing ability, but he's going to make big plays in crucial moments, and that's exactly what we saw tonight, finding Gary Jennings on a 58-yard strike downfield to not only extend a drive, but really blow open the football game. And we've seen it through 2 weeks. Manny Wilkins is able to hang around in the pocket thanks to a remarkable protection up front and find the open receiver downfield. Of course, this offense is built in the running game. We saw it last week, Jarvion Howard with a 74-yard rushing touchdown, which at the time was a UFL regular season record, and not a few hours later, Ballage on the Arlington Renegades broke that record. But Jarvion, of course, a power back that's going to burst through the line. And then the touchdown machine, Jacob Saylors, is that bell cow back every down type of running back that this Battlehawks team has been so fortunate to have over the years. And he's really burst onto the scene in these two early contests, leading the league in rushing touchdowns and reeled in 3 tonight against the San Antonio Brahmas. So offensively, this team is humming, of course, leaning on the ground game, and hopefully Hakeem Butler will be back relatively soon, coming off of that hamstring injury, and the passing game will only get better with number 88 back in the fold. Defensively for these St. Louis Battlehawks, I have been absolutely impressed on every level. Of course, the man himself, number 7, Pita Taumapenu, getting a great deal of pressure on Kellen Mond tonight. Just in his grill mix for 3 hours long, making things extremely uncomfortable, forcing Kellen Mond into compromising situations, of course, throwing a brutal interception, and that is a huge credit to our pass rush. And then at the linebacker level, really not giving up too many explosive plays in the running game. Mike Rose essentially sealing the deal tonight for the St. Louis Battlehawks, plugging up the middle. The longtime Battlehawk, the former Iowa State Cyclone, he has been a joy to watch. And of course, the secondary. If there is a hole in this defense, it would not necessarily be the secondary, but tonight there were some plays that, third and long situation that Kellen Mond was able to get the ball into the receiver's hands and execute a handful of times. But of course, these Battlehawks never wavered, did not give up really any points throughout the contest, only allowing one score in the end zone, of course, a field goal to the famous man himself destroying. But to win a game in this league 26-9 against a team that not only you lost to in the biggest moment of the season in the semifinal to go to the UFL Championship, but to bounce back in such a major way, don't really allow the Brahmas to be part of this football game, especially down the stretch. It's a testament to this defense in that bend, don't break mentality that Anthony Becht has instilled in this group. And what I am able to recognize is that these St. Louis Battlehawks are grooving as a unit. And, the goal next week, obviously facing another undefeated opponent in the DC Defenders back home at the Dome on Sunday afternoon, which I absolutely love. It's get healthy. Of course, incorporate those wide receivers in this offense. Shakur Pearson, that speed, athleticism. Those gadget plates didn't really work against the Brahmas, but still need to keep him in the fold. And defensively, staying true to what this team is capable of is rushing the quarterback and, of course, making pass catchers uncomfortable in the open field. So I am extremely encouraged by this football team. Like I said, allowing just 15 points over the course of 2 football games is wildly impressive. Of course, DC will be able to score a handful of times next week, so let's not anticipate such a trouncing. But you could very well argue these are the 2 best teams in the league right now, and the St. Louis Battlehawks thrive off of that home atmosphere. 32,000 strong at the Dome tonight, and I would say that will increase next week with the 2 o'clock start time in the afternoon. Kind of a challenge to get that many fans in the Battle Dome on a Sunday night, but we managed to do so this evening. And of course, with it being an afternoon game, I would imagine closer to 40,000 fans in the house next week for such a star-studded matchup. Former St. Louis Battlehawk Jordan Ta'amu at quarterback for the DC Defenders. It's going to be a dream, and I am extremely confident that the St. Louis Battlehawks will move to 3-0 and cement themselves as the league's best franchise as we continue on our quest for a UFL championship. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. I will be here every week of the UFL season to highlight our beloved St. Louis Battlehawks and promote the beautiful game of spring football. As always, Caw is law. Let's rock.